Racing down the road, wind is in my hair. I'm the one to be, so come and get me if you're there. I'm a pro, catch me on the track, leave you in the dust. You know I'm never looking back now. Yeah, I'm a rocket. Yeah, I'm a rocket.
This is the all-new Mahindra Thar Roxx, aka the 5-door version of the Thar. Yep, the teasers have finally stopped. This much awaited model is here and we have finally driven it. But first, let's talk about some basics. So it's got 2 extra doors, a proper rear bench seat, a much bigger boot, and so many features over and above the 3-door Thar. The pricing is spot on too, especially for the entry-level variants. But don't get yourself all psyched up, because at the end of the day, this car is still a Thar, which means it isn't the most comfortable or ergonomically sound SUV for the price. So for this review, besides driving and testing out the new features, I'm also going to talk about some of the positives of the Thar Roxx that would make you want to buy this car immediately, and a couple of things that you may find disappointing if you have been really looking forward to the Thar Roxx.
I'm on my grizzy, don't hit me, I'm busy. You not talking money, can't answer my phone. Spin the block, I'm looking dizzy. No one can outrizz me, your girl send me once and she gone.
But first, let's talk about the design and road presence of the Thar Roxx. So this thing, it looks pretty special, and if you ask me, it does look substantial as well when you park it next to a crossover like the Hyundai Creta or the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara. But let me tell you though, this thing isn't enormous and you can use the Thar Roxx every day, even if your commute involves a lot of traffic or driving across narrow lanes. In terms of actual design elements, up front you have that characteristic Thar look, which has been reworked to differentiate this 5-door model from the 3-door Thar. The lighting is all LED here, including the fog lights, the headlights and the DRL. The trademark grille has also been redesigned and it looks different enough to justify an upgrade, but if I'm honest, it is my least favorite design element. It started off great with the original Thar and the 2nd gen model, but somehow here it doesn't match up to the rest of the car. Other bits include these chunky looking alloys for the 19-inch wheels, exposed door hinges, new LED taillights, pillar mounted rear door handles, and of course the additional doors and a completely new extended rear section. Let me know what you guys think of the design in the comments below. Do you think this rear section looks good with this dual tone shade for the canopy and the bodywork, or this would have looked better in a single shade of red? Overall, I think this setup looks better in pictures, but I'm also keen to find out what you guys feel about this design element. Inside the Mahindra Thar Roxx, now it all looks familiar yet new and different at the same time. Now in terms of presentation, I like what Mahindra has done to this cabin. In fact, they have given this cabin an entirely new black and beige interior theme, and I get why they have done that. It is to make this cabin look and feel plush and luxurious, which is also why you get soft touch materials on the top half of this dashboard, along with this contrasting exposed stitching. Well, you also get some soft touch materials on the door pads as well. Then you have some piano black finishes around the gear lever and plenty of silver treatment for things like the air convent surrounds and around this center console. So the soft touch dash, well, it looks and feels good, but as you make your way down, the plastics, well, they become very scratchy. Although it's not the end of the world, and in terms of overall quality and the level of fit and finish, well, it's just about okay. Some of the things in here are a bit utilitarian, and things like the glove box, well, it could definitely be better finished. Also, this is the most expensive version of the Thar Roxx, so obviously it gets a huge panoramic sunroof. But as you may have noticed, in the Thar Roxx, this is positioned a bit far back, almost behind my head. Now this is not a complaint, it's just an observation. Anyway, let's see how the door sounds like when you shut it. Doesn't have that metallic click to it, but it sounds good nonetheless. In terms of comfort and ergonomics at the front, it's a hit and miss. Firstly, the visibility is great despite the fact that you're looking out of a narrow windscreen. That's because the pillars are very thin, the entire glasshouse is almost upright, and the window line is set low. Naturally, you also get a solid view of the road ahead with a nice commanding driving position. What's not so nice is the lack of under-thigh support from the front seats. The seat base is surprisingly short, and over long road trips, I would assume they would be inadequate in terms of absolute comfort. Speaking of comfort, let's take a look at the biggest USP of the Thar Roxx, its rear seat. This is what it's all about really, the fact that you get 2 extra doors and a proper rear bench seat that can easily accommodate 2 adults. Well, as for the actual space and comfort, let's see what you get. Honestly speaking, it is surprising how comfortable this rear seat is. Now, I was expecting this seat base to be quite short, therefore lacking a bit of under-thigh support, but you know what? That's certainly not the case. There's more than enough legroom, and the headroom is pretty good as well, especially given you got a big panoramic sunroof. In terms of other features back here, you have a folding armrest with cup holders, rear AC vents, and this is really neat. You have the ability to recline the rear seat if you want to get more comfortable over long trips. Although it is a bit of a task to adjust the recline on this rear seat. One other thing which is also a bit of a task is getting in and out of the Thar Roxx. So you have doors that open really wide, almost 90 degrees for easy ingress. But at the same time, you will also have to climb into the Thar and jump out for real because it's so high off the ground. Now let's talk boot space. This is of course a 5-door model, and because it doesn't get a third row of seats, so you end up with around 450 liters of boot space, which isn't bad at all. In fact, I think there is a lot of usable cargo space in this car simply because of the cube-like packaging. Now the only thing that I'm not a fan of is this, the high loading lip, but that's simply because of how high the Thar Roxx sits off the ground. Feature highlights on the most expensive AX7L variant includes a large panoramic sunroof, 19-inch alloy wheels, surround view cameras, level 2 ADAS, LED fog lamps, soft touch dashboard and door pads, cooled glove box, ventilated front seats, 6-way electrically adjustable driver's seat, Type-C fast charging, electrically foldable wing mirrors, and a 9-speaker Harman Kardon sound system. You also get wireless Android Auto on the updated infotainment system from Mahindra. Although it hung up on us while we were testing it, I have to admit that this updated user interface is a lot smoother and quicker to respond across the board. The driver gets another digital display with some level of configurability in there, but not really a huge amount. You can cycle through the different menus for settings and functions, including level 2 ADAS. We have just hit the road in the Mahindra Thar Roxx, so let's kick things off with what's powering this car. Now what we are driving here is the rear-wheel driven petrol automatic variant, which is powered by a 2-liter turbo petrol 4-cylinder engine. And as for the gearbox, well, you get a 6-speed torque converter automatic. So how does it all feel behind the wheel? Well, let's give this thing a little something. So there is a bit of a delay before the gearbox shifts down and reacts to your throttle inputs, but when it comes to the actual business of moving the gears up and down, it is spot on. It is smooth in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and it will pick up gears nicely once you are on the move. Now, the only time this automatic gearbox will feel clunky is when you started up the car, the gearbox is cold, and you're shifting from park to drive or the other way around. The 2-liter turbocharged engine is from the 3-door Thar, and it remains a strong engine. Well, as long as you are in the meat of its power band. At low speeds, it doesn't have much to give. In fact, it almost feels underwhelming below 3000 RPM. So to make the most of its strong power band, you will have to rev it past say 3 or 4000 RPM to make quick progress. That's the thing with this petrol version. If you are in the right gear, doing the right RPM, this fairly huge SUV is always ready to sprint. Flat out, it will get to triple digit speeds in no time, especially when you switch the drive mode to zoom, which makes everything more reactive, so your engine, the gearbox and the overall throttle response. At this point, the 6-speed automatic is right up there, executing quick and smooth gear shifts. Let's talk cabin noise. So this is where the new Thar Roxx is better than the old 3-door model. Now I'm not even going to compare this car with the soft top version of the old 3-door model because there is such a huge difference in the sort of NVH that you will experience. But believe me, there is a big difference in NVH between this car and the hardtop model as well. Now that's simply because the new Thar Roxx has a unibody shell, whereas the old 3-door model wears a canopy on top of its old shell. And that makes a huge difference to the amount of noise, vibrations and just the overall level of harshness that may enter the cabin. And believe me, the new Thar Roxx is much quieter inside than the 3-door model, and for somebody like me that makes a huge difference, and to me this car just seems a lot more usable all the time, so that's good. Something else that matters a lot when it comes to everyday usability is ride quality. The Thar Roxx doesn't do too bad here. Of course, it's a pakka body-on-ladder vehicle with its roots firmly steeped in off-roading ability, so its ride quality was never going to match the plushness of a typical crossover SUV. All said and done, the ride is a bit fidgety and inconsistent over any road that's badly laid. But there is no denying that the Thar Roxx has an overpowering quality to it with the way it rides. It will absorb or flatten most of the sharp-edged bumps, and you will end up feeling invincible as you drive across broken roads. And with that, we are back to our stay for the night. Having driven the Thar Roxx all day long, I can tell you a few things with conviction. So the thing is, the 3-door Thar, well, it has always been the go-to choice when it comes to lifestyle SUVs. It is something that you would want to have as your second car, preferably for special occasions. Now with the Thar Roxx, what Mahindra has done is that they have given it all the tech and features in the world, and they have made it quieter, more comfortable and easier to live with. Basically, the Thar Roxx has the potential to be your only car. In terms of negatives, well, like I said in the start of this review, this new model is still a Thar, so it becomes slightly difficult to justify its ergonomic flaws, its fidgety ride and the lack of finesse in some of its high-end features. On some level, it is unfair to expect the Thar to have the sort of finesse to its ride quality that you will find in a crossover SUV or even ergonomics for that matter. But things like a nicer surround view camera system, better quality plastics and a multimedia system that works perfectly every single time, well, these are some of the things that Mahindra should look at and try getting fixed. So let me know in the comments what you make of the Mahindra Thar Roxx. Are you looking to buy one, or if you already have a 3-door Thar and perhaps you want to upgrade and maybe you would consider the 5-door Thar Roxx. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then please hit like and maybe share it with someone who has been looking forward to the Mahindra Thar Roxx. So for now, this is me signing off. Until next time.